So, as we're talking about fear and stuff, I think one thing that people have a lot of fear of is the unknown and walking
Yeah.
into new seasons. And you have an amazing three-step process for leaning into that. Can you share that with us a little bit?
Yeah. So it's anytime we go through transitions, right? Like it's there's this fear of unknown. And, I think we know that God will intervene. We know that He knows the plan. Sometimes it helps for us to have these coping skills, right? These like tools to access. That's that grit part. That's that part of moving forward and taking one step forward is let's use some coping tools. And so um I was seeing there was a season in my life for like 8 years where I was a high school guidance counselor. And so would walk through the college process a lot of like these seniors who would be very high functioning. And then all of a sudden, both them and their precious parents would unravel, would freak out because it was like all of a sudden, like the amount of stories I heard where it was like, we were dorm room shopping in Target. And all of a sudden, we both started screaming about what trash can or what laundry hamper we were going to put in the dorm room. And it wasn't about that, right? Like it was about what
Right.
felt so unknown about this transition. And then, so I wanted to be able to give them something to navigate through. And so I think, yeah, I remember I'm trying to, chapter 7, where it talks about, okay, so like we breathe and I call it the unknown 1, 2, 3. So I take a big deep breath. Okay. What is one thing that's outside my control right now that I have to radically accept? I can't change it. It is, as my husband always says, it is what it is. Then, what are 2 things I can healthily control to move my way through this unknown, this transition? And then, okay, what are 3 things I'm thankful for within this actual situation? Not what like could be, but like what are 3 things I'm thankful for within this current situation? Or if what's easier to you as you navigate through is what are 3 things that I hope for? What are 3 things I can choose hope for, right? Because optimism is felt, hope is chosen. So
Mm.
what are 3 things I can choose to hope for within this? So when we can grasp onto healthily, right? I always throw that word in, make sure it's healthy things you can control. And then choosing hope, choosing gratitude.
I've been using this already in my life because we're about to go into a little bit of a transition season. I've been working part-time from home for a local women's center. Um, and I'm going to stop doing that at the end of January. We decided we're going to homeschool our kids, which is so
Yeah.
exciting. It's very exciting stuff. And it was a choice that we made. So it wasn't like this just, happened upon us.
But
But
it'll be a transition
it'll be a
nonetheless.
transition nonetheless. And so having this, I'm like, you know what? I'm about to practice this right now. And I walked through these things, and man, it just brings that everything's okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
And it's not easy, but I know that this is what is next for us. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I can choose to finish well and finish with excellence. I get to choose the curriculum that my kids are going to be doing. And I'm so grateful for the time that I've had here at this ministry. I'm grateful
Right.
that we are in a situation that this is even an option for us. And I'm grateful to have these 2 beautiful kids that I can homeschool. And
Yeah.
that's just in a matter of seconds to man.
Right. Well, it allows you to not get stuck in the fear, right?
Yeah.
Like it allows you to that's that responding with purpose instead of fear, right? Like we always, a phrase we say in our family a lot when we're angry or when we're scared, we're like, okay, wait, respond, don't react.
That's
because there's a
good.
difference,
Mhm.
right? A
Mhm.
reaction is like fear-based and you can get stuck there because it's like that snow globe being shaken up, right? But when you respond, you do your coping skills. You do in this book, like I have tried to like make it chock full of coping tools, especially in the anxiety chapter. I tried to like put everything I knew in there to try to help people not feel so helpless to their anxiety.
Yes, I loved that. I love the diagrams and stuff that you have throughout. I'm like, "Ugh."
Yes. Well, because we don't have to feel helpless. We don't have to deny that we're anxious. Anxiety is so hard, and we see how prevalent it is. We can just use tools to move our way through. So I will the my heart behind coping tools is less about like, we'll do these things and everything will be fixed. It's not that.
Right.
I use my oldest son he is like a survivalist scout to the core. And so he always comes at me with these like survival tips. And so he ran up to me one day and he was like, "Hey, do you know what to do if you fall in quicksand?" And I was like, I don't know. He was like, "Well, you can't make these dramatic movements. You'll just sink farther." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "And you can't wait for someone else to come save you because they might not come." And I was like, "Okay, so what do I do?" He was like, "You just make one small movement at a time, and then eventually you get to shore." And I was like, "Bud, that is the best analogy for like our anxiety or our hard situation where you could just show up with like one tool at a time and one movement at a time to move your way through, and then you get through it." And he's like, "Or it's quicksand, you know."
Right.
It's like, "Ugh." Sarah, like mom is a therapist problems.
Right.
But truly God does give us a lot of agency in not getting stuck in the hard thing, not getting stuck in the anxiety, not getting stuck in the depression. It doesn't mean that there's this like perfect way through that if you do all these formula things that you'll get on the other side of it. We're not again, we're guaranteed struggle and suffering on this side
Right.
of heaven. But you can move forward one step at a time. You can access that grit that comes from these coping skills, that comes from trust, that comes from, okay, I don't feel like it, but I'm in, like my depression is like wanting me to stay in bed and not come out. And I know that I cannot surrender to that. I don't feel like it. But I'm gonna go take a walk. One foot in front of the other. I'm just gonna take a walk. I don't even know how long. It might be for 2 minutes, but I'm gonna just walk. Your depression doesn't magically go away. But what you're saying is, I don't have to feel stuck in it. I can do one step in front of the other. This is hard. And I'm going to walk step by step, one small movement at a time towards health, towards wholeness, towards healing.